Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. Of course, it's the interview segment on Rise and Shine this Friday morning. And like you know, we like to take the conversations to the social sphere of things happening in Nigeria. I've been joined by Bidemi Borishade, who is the CEO of Tangents AI in Abuja. She's joining us live from Abuja this morning. She is, of course, an AI startup official with over 10 years experience in optimizing business operations across various industries. Of course, she transitioned into tech business management, passionate advocate for AI with regards to good and active promotion of cybersecurity for everyone. Good morning, Bidemi Borishade. Thanks for joining us on Rise and Shine.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Also being joined here by Francis, so you'll be speaking to two persons.
Good morning, ma'am. Happy New Month.
Happy New Month to you too.
Welcome.
Okay, so let's take our dive into the cyberspace. It's a conversation that is still budding in Africa and also Nigeria. Although Nigeria has a reputation to be quite a technology hub, but how would you say that, Africa and Nigeria, how well would you say we are embracing the evolution in tech space?
Thank you for that question. So in regards to our embrace for the artificial intelligence solutions and advanced technologies, I would say that although we took time in catching up with the trends and all, we have begun adopting and building solutions around AI and advanced technologies. The government has played a massive role in supporting both the private and public sector in advancing the knowledge acquisition as well as building solutions around advanced technologies. So I would say, although we took time, we are actually gaining momentum. We are building rapidly, we are catching up with West, and we are ensuring that every solution, every problem we have in the country, we can solve it with AI.
Solving problems with AI, and that's a lot of hope that we have. But would you say that with AI, we are going to begin to see a lot of dependence on AI as opposed to people, interacting with their own ingenuity to solve problems? Because it looks like that's a dependence that we are going to see going forward.
Okay, so first off, I would like to address a problem where we believe that with AI, we are going to get obsolete as humans. The thing about artificial intelligence is it is built, trained by humans. So it cannot make us obsolete or inadequate. It cannot take our jobs, it cannot take our lifestyle, it can only help us be more productive. AI should be seen as a tool that can be used to improve productivity, used to scale your business. Before, if you're an entrepreneur, before you're able to scale or profit in your business, you have to think of your operational costs, you have to think of hiring people, you have to think of all the different aspects that could cost you so much. But right now, if you want to build a product, we have so many tools that are powered by AI that can create from scratch, from end to end. And then all you need to do is find a way to market. Even when you want to market, we have tools that AI has developed to ensure that you reach the right market, to ensure that your content is correct, to ensure that when you are meeting investors, your business plan, everything can be put together in such a way that would be admissible and would give you the kind of leverage you're looking for. So in my opinion, I feel like AI is the productivity tool that we've been looking for to help us do more. So when we start to look at AI from that angle, we will now begin to embrace it and do more with it, rather than being scared or suspicious about having it in different spheres and different industries. AI can do so much for the health industry, it can do so much for our security problem, it can do so much for our fraud, it can do so much for different aspects of the different problems that we are facing currently in the country. If we put ourselves together and say, okay, we want to use AI to solve this problem, then we can use it as that tool to help us solve the problem and not be afraid that it will take us our jobs or get us to become obsolete or less smart.
Okay, so you've stated one of the biggest fears and concerns of humans. Recently, we had a nationwide industrial action in the US in the film industry, and actors, directors, producers, everybody within the entertainment space had concerns that different companies were beginning to make moves to replace humans with AI. And so jobs in studios, for instance, that would require a cameraman or cameramen to be physically available were beginning to be, handed over to artificial intelligence or robots, as the case may be, who have, the artificial intelligence chip implanted in them. You are telling us something completely different this morning, that we don't have anything to fear. So I'd like for you to, speak more to that. Because if you're saying we don't have anything to fear, and for instance, jobs that would require 10 people to handle will now reduce to just one person because of artificial intelligence, how do we now balance, the deficit in manpower compared to what is presently obtainable?
Okay, so that's a very good question. Regarding the use of AI to solve problems, and that invariably meaning certain people losing their jobs, is bringing us back to that part where human beings don't like to grow. So even if, let's say, I'll use the same example that you just gave. Most cameramen got laid off because we found a cheaper way to handle that part of media. Now, for the cameramen that have seen that, okay, this is no longer a job for me, it's now an avenue to learn more, because the job space or the job market is evolving. And what that means is we also as humans need to start to learn and evolve. It's just like the times past where in order to get water you have to go all the way to a stream. And maybe along the line they had people that created a business model, like going to the stream, get the water, and then bring it to your house. And then now we have it where you just turn on the tap and then water flows. So the people that were bringing water all the way to their houses, you would say, okay, we lost your job. But if we're smart enough, they would have found another way to improve that business to meet up with the current demand. So it's the same thing with different jobs and areas in which AI is helping us to solve. It is helping us to be more productive, but it is also telling us that we need to do more in terms of learning. Because even as your media team now uses AI to capture photography, videography, you still need someone back end that understands that tool to manage it. So if one of the cameramen or even all of them understood that part of AI, they would be able to remain and function in that role of managing that tool that you now use to do your jobs. And what would that would also mean an increase in their pay, because being able to do that means an increase in their skill sets, and they will not collect the same amounts that they would have been collecting as manual cameramen. So AI, in my opinion, has brought about the opportunity for us to improve in our skill sets, so that as it increases, we are also increasing with it and filling out the new opportunities that AI is bringing. So it might be taking out obsolete jobs, but it is bringing in 1,000,000 times more jobs for us to fill in. And there's always a demand for something to do. So we need to keep on learning.
So let's take the conversation back to you. You transitioned into the tech space, evolved into the whole AI expert and all of that. How did you do that transition? Because a lot of persons, also see getting an education with regards to, the cyber technology and all of that as an overwhelming thing. Some people are like, I don't have the brains or the mind, to take on, a tech education at this time. So talk about transitioning. What was your journey like, and what is the expected journey for an average person who needs to upskill their skill in that regard?
Okay. So when it comes to upscaling in terms of our skill set, for me personally, I have a background in business, from business administration to business management. I created that. I was positioning myself to be able to manage any type of business. And I started from my BSc to my MBA. Everything has been trying to manage businesses, because when it comes to money, whatever industry you're in, you can learn what makes that business scale, what their problems are. You can create an analysis of what to do, what not to do, just to ensure that the business is feasible and scalable. In terms of tech, I transitioned while studying abroad for my master's, because while I was there, they are more advanced when it comes to using technology, and I saw that as an opportunity to position and pivot into business management in tech. But it wasn't enough to just be managing tech, because I also had to understand the terminologies, what kind of skills to bring to the table. Some of them I'm not good at coding. And it is one of the things that we also have to debunk when it comes to tech. We believe that anything that has to do with technology has to do with coding, and that is false. Because in artificial intelligence or in advanced technologies, we have so many positions and skill sets that can be learned without any form of code, from digital marketing to product management to data analysis when it comes to visualization using Excel. These things do not require any form of coding. And if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of AI, where you want to build robots yourself, then you have to be ready to go back to statistics, to mathematics, to go back to learning code Python and all the different code bases that you need to build and teach a machine. Because AI is the generalized a term for a lot of different processes and flows. We have deep learning, we have machine learning, and then you also have the robotics. Everything is under that umbrella called AI, but there are different angles and skill sets that you could pick up that will not be so stressful. So for me, I just focused on the things I needed to understand to manage a tech business. When it comes to selling tech, people need to understand it from a layman term. People need to know what makes it tick. It's easy to get confused when you're looking at the back end and you're seeing all the codes and the numbers and all. But when you are moving to the front base of a business or of a tech solution, of a startup, now that is what the public sees, and in that angle you are talking to old women, old men, people that do not understand tech. You need to be able to communicate properly, present properly. So these little skills, I picked them up without actually going into the nitty-gritty of coding. I started coding and I realized that I really did not want to dwell in that. So I decided to move more into the mathematical aspect of things, data science, analysis, and then product management, etc. So for anyone trying to pivot into tech or AI, we have so many branches when it comes to advanced technologies. People right now are looking for digital marketers, storytellers, people that are very good at publicizing and creating visibility for new products. You don't need any form of code for that. When it comes to data science, the aspect of data visualization, where you can present big data, you don't need mathematics or coding for that. So it is just to find where you want to pivot into, what interests you. Is it graphic design? Is it UI UX? Most of these things just has to do with creativity without learning code at all. Once you find what your niche and interest is, then you can push into it.
How much of knowledge is available for Nigerians? Because that would be another thing. do we need a high fee to be able to gain this knowledge or this education? How readily available are education and transition materials for Nigerians living in Nigeria?
Okay, so most of what we need to transition is available and it's free. That is one of the advantages of digitalization. We have a lot of free courses, sometimes even on YouTube. A lot of platforms have put together compressed courses for you to just listen, learn, and then at the end you could go and take an exam on platforms like Coursera, Udemy, or even do an online course with Google itself, Microsoft, IBM. Most of them have, because of the drive to push tech and digitalization, a lot of them offer free courses, free platforms for you to learn. When you are now going into specialized and senior management roles, of course, that might require payment for senior roles in cybersecurity, in AI. You will now begin to think of, okay, how much to pay. But to start with the basics that would allow you transition, it's totally free. You use platforms like YouTube, which is free, or Coursera, Udemy. Some of them have free courses for you to just learn the basics. And then from there, you'll get to pick up from that skill that you have started learning.
Question that an average person watching us this morning would want to know would be, how long does it take? All of the skill sets you're mentioning, from graphics to data analytics to coding and every other kinds of skill, are the time frames and what are they like for an average person? Because people want to know, if I want to get involved in artificial intelligence and I'm beginning the learning process, I should be able to know within this time frame, this is what I'm going to be able to achieve, and then be able to factor in my time frame to that point.
Okay, so in terms of the time frame, based on the particular skill set you want to learn, let me use, for example, something about graphics design. If you're coming from a background of something as basic as agriculture or English language, you would probably take, if you're very interested, you could take about 3 to 6 months to learn that. And you can learn it using Canva and any online free platform to learn how to use it. Now, that doesn't mean that you're an expert. Learning is something we do every day. I don't consider myself an expert in anything, because every day is a new day to learn something. And the rate at which AI is going, every day is new. It is learning faster than we can keep up. So we also have to keep up with whatever skill set we have. Someone who is good with data science today can become obsolete in 5-7 years if that person is not adding to that skill set that they have. But to start, you can start learning and picking up programs 3 months, 6 months. NITDA does a lot with their 3MTT programs, where they allow cohorts, students or individuals to learn a particular digitalized skill in 3 months, in 6 months. And then you can move to the next session. After that 6 months, I can say that you can begin an internship role. It means that you have picked up something that is concrete enough to build in that particular skill set that you have learned. But then it will not be enough, because it will still be like someone learning a new language. It's still a bit shaky. You are not certain about your terms, grammar, etc. You have to just keep on growing. So you in 3 to 6 months, you can have the basics of something, but to become an expert in that field, you have to keep learning. It will not stop at 5 years. It will not stop at 6 years or 7 years where you become a doctor. You have to keep it up. That's it about the learning skill.
Okay, it is definitely going to be a big challenge for some of us as far as Nigeria is concerned. Remember when learning how to operate computer and getting access to different software.
Haven't still been able to conquer.
Yeah, I don't even go there. I remember how that was, and some of us who learn those things and have not been able to consistently use them. I wonder if we can still remember how to even navigate through the softwares that we learned some years back. But let's narrow this down a little bit into security. Now, with all of the internet courses here and there, sometimes you just see something pops up and you want to enroll. They demand a whole lot of data, a whole lot of personal information from you, and this creates a depth of worry. Remember, just recently, the Nigerian government, the NCC, rather talked about the fact that some sites were stealing data, information, personal information from Nigerians, and people are so scared to even give out information. I'd like to know, how can we use AI, to even deal with the problem of cybersecurity?
Okay, so that's a very good question, and there's so many ways AI can help with data protection and security as a whole. Regarding the startups that were stealing data, such as the BVN, NIN of Nigerians, when it comes to the cyberspace, people use a lot of different things to capture our data, and that is where cyber crimes come into play. So we have people that, through phishing, that is sending you a false link for you to click on it, and then from there, either they ask you for info or they use that link to inject your computer with malware, a virus that can enable them to get access to your data. Or the other ways could just be by our social media platforms, where we overshare, and they use that to track what we have, where we are, where we live, what your date of birth is, etc. AI can help in a lot of ways, such as for security. Now, I'll use a typical practical example: X, formerly known as Twitter. So before, we were combating fake news, and we didn't know how to handle it properly. And when Elon Musk converted to X, they started using AI to detect when news is fake. If it's fake, or it's doctored, or it's founded on some AI algorithm, it would be able to put at the bottom of whatever has been posted that, okay, this particular news is fake. What this person is saying doesn't tally with this picture. This was probably something that happened in 1990 something, etc. Now, these kind of examples are ways AI is being used to combat security. We have other ways, such as facial recognition, where we can power cameras, street lights, in order to capture individuals, capture events happening around us, so that we are real time monitoring the situation of things in the country. My startup, we even built a solution regarding that, just so that we can fight and help combat the issue with the kidnapping, security, fraud with banking apps, when someone takes your phone and is still trying to guess your password just so that they can access your money, etc. Most of these things can be reduced and totally eradicated if we embrace artificial intelligence solutions, just to improve on insecurity issues in Nigeria. And these things already exist in this country. We are beginning to realize that we can use AI to fight, and we are picking up solutions here and there, injecting them with artificial intelligence solutions, just so that we create a future that is safer and saner for everyone.
So let's still talking about cybersecurity. How best can an individual arm themselves? How can we be safe? In the space of the Internet of Things, because, for instance, we are beginning to have conversations of be careful of how much you share on the internet. I've also seen articles and videos of, yes, AI is good with XYZ, but the future of things where AI is concerned is that, with regards to cybersecurity, we are also standing at the risk of people's voices and personalities being cloned to use for insecurity and other related offenses in the society. So how can we nip this in the bud before it now overrides us and becomes a bigger problem?
Okay, so when trying to educate people on cyber awareness, my first go-to is reduce what we share. We are in a generation where we want to tell everybody about our every step because of the influencer age that we're in, where we feel like this is the best way to gain fans and invariably money. But in the future of AI, because it is about data and it's about machine learning, the way it works is machine learning picks it's data that is being taught to a machine, and after a while, the machine starts to build and develop based on the data that it has already been taught. And with the Internet of Things or social media, the more you are putting in info, the more it is learning about you. It's just at like Netflix, for example, you finish watching a movie based on what you watched and based on the fact that you said, I like it, it now starts to bring all the other options of the same kind of movie because its thought process is because you like this, you will like the other. The same thing with our shopping habits, with our travel, with the food we like, food we eat. AI is learning every day. So my first point is always reduce what you share online. Keep it at barest minimum. Anything private, such as addresses, venue, in Nigeria, your BVN, your NIN, these are key information that should always remain private, no matter what you're doing, where you're going, especially nowadays that kidnappers use that as a way to track movements, where you're going, where you're at, try to keep those kind of things private at all time. You can post it after you have done that, whatever activity it is, just so that you are not in that space at that moment. Other ways is to avoid clicking links. I keep telling, especially my parents, so whenever you share something, whenever anyone sends you any kind of message, broadcast, don't click. It will be better if you go to the website itself. So let's say you're broadcasting jobs by the NCC. Rather than clicking that link, go and type www.ncc, like find their website and click on it. And if you're clicking and it doesn't have the secure domain, if it is not HTTPS and it's just HTTP, do not continue. It is possibly a phishing link, it is owned by someone, and it is not secure. So there are so many little tips here and there that we need to put in at the back of our minds when operating the digital space, because the digital space is not going anywhere. It is here to stay. So we just need to protect ourselves while navigating it in this time and in this era.
Okay, so with all of these that you've shared with us this morning, an average Nigerian young person watching would want to venture into AI. I'd like to get onto the tools that we need to have, because most times when you're learning computer-related skill set, there are some basic requirements that we need to have. So are there some specific things that we need to consider having if we want to venture into, picking up any skill set as far as AI is concerned?
So most times when you even want to venture into AI, you see beginners, no skill required. You're starting from scratch. Like even if you do not understand mathematics, computer science, you can learn on the job, or you can learn while going through that course. But what I feel is basic is you must understand how to operate your computer. Because in order to even navigate most of these courses that are online, if you do not know how to use a computer, if you don't have one or know how to use one, it might be difficult. So basics would just be have a working computer, have good internet, and then anything is possible. Once you have the tools, such as your internet, your computer, it could even be your phone, and you know how to navigate these tools properly. For video conferencing, you know how to use Zoom or Google Meet or Teams. When it comes to communication, on most of these school platforms, they either use Trello or they have their own systems built in the platform. just learn how to use these things to go through your courses, your skill set. If you want to go and learn hands-on on a job, most people hire interns, scratch level. You come and learn practical tips. Basically, this is like a one-on-one kind of learning agreement that you can have with startups. They do it. My company also does that. We just advise you that, okay, you should learn how to use tools like Slack, Trello, Asana. We use this to manage teams. We use this to manage tasks. We use this to manage communication, know how to use the Google Suites or Microsoft tools, and everything else is now like an extra. You will now be learning as you go, but the basics, know how to use. It's like if I say type a document on Google Doc or Microsoft Word, you shouldn't start asking me questions like, what is that? In this time and age, that would be a very bad question to ask. So these are the kind of little things that you should understand now, and then from there it'll be easy to just learn any kind of skill set digitally that you need for the future in which we're going into.
So I'm actually thinking of a scenario, an average primary school where we send our children to. They're being taught computer studies without computers. So a lot of them see computers and CPUs on diagrams in their textbooks. And we take that culture all the way to secondary school. And I think that is the first death of raising quality awareness where technology and the activities around the Internet of Things is concerned. How are we moving in our pushing of conversations with regards to artificial intelligence, trying to, what will I call it, talk to governments, organizations to make sure that the younger generation is trained ready for the future of things where the cyber community is concerned?
So sad to say, I know that most times when we talk about digitalization, we still have some parts in the country that have not really gotten the full grasp of that, especially in our educational system and sector. Teaching right now in this era, teaching a group of students computer science by diagrams or pictures is not enough. Before, it could have been sufficient because we had not grown as digitalized as we are right now. So if you are using that methodology to teach computer science, by the time you see a real life computer, it will not look like what you have been taught, because whatever diagram you have, the old PCs and all that we used to have back then, people rarely use them right now. And now we are having laptops that are much more fluid, much more resilient. People use them for gaming. It could be so complicated that what you learned in primary school will not help you. So it's part of the advocacy that we have for government. We know that they try when it comes to trying to push out learning, but the focus has primarily been for people in the university and maybe some parts of the secondary school, but the primary school, very few, except maybe those in urban areas. Those in the rural areas have not really gotten the full grasp of what AI is or where we are going to with our digital economy and the digital space. And they need to learn because they are the generation that will come after we get old. And at this point, I already even feel like we're old, because when it comes to what the Gen Z and the Alpha generation are learning, we have to keep asking them what it means. How do we navigate this? And if they cannot understand it at the level where their peers have gone really fast, it will be hard for them to keep up. So it is one of the advocacies that we have, that in terms of digitalization, teaching people, we need to also go into the nooks and crannies, find a way to give them, even if it is one laptop for the classroom to have, let them see what it looks like. It's difficult because of internet, the cost of things. They might not even have electricity. We still have parts that are struggling with some basic infrastructures that would make digitalization easier to learn, but we have to find a way to improve and quicken the pace at which they learn, because they are coming, and if they don't know what to do, they will not be able to keep up with what is happening around us.
Wow.
So yes, there's advocacy needs to happen right now. We cannot learn computer science with diagrams. It will not work anymore.
Really holistic conversation that we've had this morning, but we need to let you go. But I'll give you a two-in-one question just to wrap it up this morning. Talking about two things are strong, where we're talking about, cyber activity and the social media. So take us through, the effect of living our lives on the, social media space, more like the Internet of Things space, the mental and psychological effect of being, of interfacing with these realities. And also, we are beginning to see a new trajectory where future end jobs are, on the cyberspace. Everybody is trying and looking for how to make the cyber money, which seems to be the new oil money. So how can we, leverage to take care of our mental health and also talk about making the cyber money in a legit way? How can we balance those two things?
Okay, so that's a good question. When it comes to the cyberspace, just like every kind of platform, you have the good and the bad. But one thing we need to always keep in mind is that we need to learn how to separate our private from professional. So digital space is great professionally. When most businesses, like my startup, when we first started with my partner and I, it was fully remote. Everyone was working at different locations and fully remote. We are still functioning under that kind of framework. The only difference is that now, because of a new product we launched, operations now have an office that they come in twice a week, just so that we can use that to meet and put things together. But it has worked for us remotely, and that is because of digitalization. Now, professionally, digitalization will be going, we will keep on moving at that pace of work, where you can work for 2 years and not even know who your colleagues are physically because they are in a different continent. So professionally, you can keep your relationship and work tools professional. Just ensure that everything about you is work. You're using your work tools, you're keeping your relationship with your colleagues all on that digital space. Now, when it comes to our private life, where the mental and emotional breakdown happens quicker than we can even imagine, the cyberspace is not for the faint of heart when it comes to our mental health, because of cyberbullying and so many things that happened online. My go-to is usually when you post, if you feel like you're probably a celebrity or whatever you're about to put is a bit sensitive, you can turn off comments. In other parts, when anybody tries to say anything about you, you can just report. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're able to separate your private from your professional life, your private life, you can just keep it to basic minimum, what you do every day. You don't have to, like I said before, you don't have to go into the nitty-gritty of your everyday life. And when you feel like, okay, you're scrolling through and you see other people are doing other things, and you feel like for you to be among and all, you want to just be part of that flow, try as much as possible to contain yourself, because with every data or information that you push out or that you have out there, you are opening yourself to any kind of mental breakdown, depression, etc. So one, you can limit the amount of time you spend on social media. I know it's fun. It's easy to just get enwrapped into scrolling. But with that, it comes with the whole weight of, okay, I don't have what this person have. I'm not doing what this person is doing. Or little things just start to creep in that affects your emotional and mental health. So if you reduce your personal and increase your professional, that way you can give a balance to yourself where you're not really missing out, but you are growing in the digital space more than you are getting depressed and having to get a mental breakdown. So it's more about finding ways to put guards around yourself when it comes to the kind of things you want to see and the kind of things you do online, and ensure that you minimize. We should come back to the time where meeting people face to face and going for coffee or going out should come back to our everyday activities, not just trying to scroll through the internet and see what everyone is up to. It's okay if you miss out on an information. If someone says, "Oh, I posted this, you didn't see," I didn't see. You're okay. Nothing is going to happen to you. Try as much as possible to think of you when it comes to your mental health, emotional health, but that would only be possible if you are able to curtail your private life online and focus on your professional. Learn the tools to use to work. Learn.
Wow, really, really strong conversations that we've had here. We continue to hear
How to be a virtual assistant if you want to, or that is how we can manage ourselves, both our emotions and then our professional life.
Okay. Really strong conversation. I don't know if you can throw in how to make this cyber money in like 1 minute. How do we posture? Because I mean, that's the future. It seems to be the future of wealth. The younger generation have left politics for the older folks. They have left the oil wells for the older folks. We are all looking for how to make the, per click money and all of those things. So talk about that for a minute.
So when it comes to crypto money, money that you make online by answering surveys, clicking on things, influencer kind of money.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a form of job for some, and they make money out of it. And it depends on what you want to push out as your content. You just have to be intentional about. We have so many influencers that they don't have anything about their personal lives, but they have influenced so much so that they're making money. And they have people calling them for ads, calling them for whatever it is that would increase their visibility and publicity. If you feel like the only way you can make money in this time, as in the influencer space, is by belittling yourself or showing your private life, I advise against it, but everybody does it. Just do you. You can find a sane way to make the internet money. Of course, there's money on the internet, but just as we have money physically and it could be gotten through dubious means and sane means, it's the same thing with the internet. People get money on the internet through dubious means, and then others are going to get it through sane means. You choose what you want and choose what is right for your health and your future as well. Like we always say, don't put anything online that you don't want your grandmother to see or you don't want your future self to see. So we should always think of the future whenever we're interacting with the internet. But cyber money, there's a lot of it. There are lots and lots and lots of it. Just find your niche and pick out what you think works best for your brand image when you are going into that space.
Wow, thank you so much, Bidemi Borishade. It's been such a holistic conversation with you this morning. I feel like I've, gotten ginger to do some investment tech ward. Thank you so much. Of course, a tech embassy after herself. It's been so good, and I know that lots of persons have gotten quite an education, and I do hope we can take advantage of the future of things, especially where artificial intelligence is. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing in that space.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was a wonderful conversation indeed.
All right then. Thank you so much. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Oh, great conversation. I feel like I was, just went through a proper class, and implementation is key. When you hear things like this, you now need to move on, understand your tools, try to implement it. But one thing is key. She talked about if you need to make the money on the internet space or even have to share, one of the, good things to do is push out your product, your services, your professional side, and try to limit your personal conversations on the social media space. As good as artificial intelligence is, it comes with a lot of futuristic cons that we are not even prepared for. But it's good to take advantage of it positively and don't allow the downside to, keep you from throwing yourself into the positive sides of, these realities.
Well, I feel like I've had enough, and maybe we'll go for a back-end training.
All right, then. But that's where we're going to wrap up the show this Friday morning. It's been a great conversation, just relaxing and talking about how we can move our lives forward. I do hope that you take advantage of the conversation this morning. Train a child, train a teenager, train a youth. And even if the oldies can also take advantage of this, let's be ready for what the future holds for us. My name is Uya, and thank you so much for being a part of the Friday morning conversation on Rise and Shine.
And I am Frank Cizade. Good to have you, and do enjoy the rest of the month of November.
Bye-bye for now.